The International Monetary Fund (IMF) says Zimbabwe's outlook remains uncertain, warning that the large fiscal adjustments needed will be politically and socially difficult to implement. The fund recently approved a staff-monitored program (SMP) for the southern African country, which is battling to implement much-needed reforms to balance its economy. The southern African nation will not borrow externally and will cut reliance on the central bank to pay bills, a practice that has exacerbated Zimbabwe's chronic currency crisis. During the staff-monitored program in a bid to impose fiscal discipline that could earn it future funding, the IMF said in a report released yesterday. The economy will contract by 2.1% this year but is seen rebounding with 3% growth in 2020. Inflation rate will average 86% this year and 61% next year, the IMF added. It said government had pledged to only borrow $00 million from the central bank in 2019, down from $1 billion last year. It will also cut the wage bill to 67% of the budget, down from 79% last year, and slash the budget deficit to 4% of GDP, in line with earlier projections. Related slideshow, news and pictures provided by Photo Services. Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu, c. Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, r. and Malaysia's Foreign Minister Saifuddin Abdullah posed for a photo during the Turkey-Malaysia-Pakistan Trilateral Foreign Ministers meeting in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, on May 30, 2019. A member of Iraqi security forces inspects the site of a bomb attack in Kirkuk, Iraq, on May 31, 2019. A gale of wind lifts Pope Francis's cassock and covers his face, as he boards a plane to leave for a 3-day trip to Romania, on May 31, 2019. Belarus Prime Minister Syar Hirumaz speaks with his Russian counterpart Dmitry Medvedev ahead of a meeting of the Commonwealth of Independent States (CIS) Council of the Heads of States in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, on May 31, 2019. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi gestures towards supporters after his oath during a swearing-in ceremony in New Delhi, India, on May 30, 2019. U.S. President Donald Trump speaks to the media as he departs for Colorado from the White House in Washington, D.C., U.S., on May 30, 2019. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, r. shakes hands with senior White House advisor Jared Kushner during their meeting in Jerusalem on May 30, 2019. Supporters of the hardline Buddhist monk Ashenworthu pray at Shwedagon Pagoda in Yangon, Myanmar, on May 30, 2019, following his arrest warrant on charge of sedition. Kuwait's Emir Sabah al-Ahmad al-Jaber al-Sabah and Saudi Arabia's King Salman c. listened to Tunisian President Beji Caid Essebsi r. during a group photo session ahead of an emergency summit in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, on May 30, 2019. King Salman opened an emergency summit of Gulf Arab leaders with a call for the international community to use all means to confront Iran. Bhutta also said the kingdom extends its hand for peace. Iranian leader Ali Khamenei makes a speech during his meeting with university instructors in Tehran, Iran, on May 30, 2019. Newly appointed interim Chancellor Brigitte Bierlein speaks as Austrian President Alexander van der Bellen looks on in Vienna, Austria, on May 30, 2019. James Marape is sworn in as the new Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea by Governor-General Bob Dada R. in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, on May 30, 2019. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky R. attends a meeting with Foreign Ministers Heiko Maas II of Germany and Jean-Yves Le Drian of France in Kiev, Ukraine, on May 30, 2019. Attendees react during the eulogy for Kenyan author and LGBT activist Binyavanga Wainaina, who died in Nairobi last week at the age of 48 during a memorial service in Nairobi, Kenya, on May 30, 2019. Prime Minister of Slovakia, Peter Pellegrini, meets Serbian Prime Minister Ana Brnabić in Belgrade, Serbia, on May 30, 2019. President of the European Commission Jean-Claude Juncker speaks to President of Lithuania Dalia Grybauskaitė during the Charlemagne Prize coronation ceremony in Aachen, Germany, on May 30, 2019. Cardinal Joseph Coutts, sits with Christians and Muslims as they break their fast at the premises of the St. Jude's Church during the holy month of Ramadan in Karachi, Pakistan, on May 29. Former President of Georgia Mikhail Saakashvili is welcomed by his supporters as he returns to Ukraine in Borispol Airport on May 29, 2019. He was given citizenship back by the Ukraine's new President Volodymyr Zelensky. A cobbler makes traditional Kusa shoes ahead of the Eid al-Fitr festival marking the end of holy fasting month of Ramadan, in Karachi, Pakistan, on May 28, 2019. U.S. President Donald Trump is escorted by Japan's Emperor Naruhito during a welcome ceremony at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, Japan, on May 27, 2019. Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces, receives Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan Abdul Rahman of Sudan, the presidential airport in Abu Dhabi, UAE on May 26, 2019. Plastic bags seen hanging on branches during a protest called March of Plastic Bags outside the Kiev City Hall in Kiev, Ukraine, on May 26, 2019. Abdul Hafiz Sheikh, finance advisor to Prime Minister Imran Khan, gestures during a press conference, next to Special Assistant to the Prime Minister for Information and Broadcasting Firdaus Ashiqawan, in Islamabad, Pakistan, on May 25, 2019. Venezuela's opposition leader and self-proclaimed interim president Juan Guaido greets supporters at a rally in Carora, Venezuela, on May 25, 2019. Christian Orthodox believers demonstrate near the Romanian Orthodox Patriarchy headquarters in Bucharest, Romania, on May 25, 2019, during a protest against the upcoming visit of Pope Francis to Romania, scheduled from May 31 to June 2. Worshippers pray during the holy fasting month of Ramadan in front of the Kaaba, the cubic building at the Grand Mosque, in the holy city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, on May 25, 2019. Papua New Guinea Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, and Member of Parliament Julius Chan, attend an event in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, on May 26, 2019. O'Neill announced his resignation, making way for Julius Chan to return as Prime Minister, local media reported. Migrants line up to get on a police bus after they disembarked from an Armed Forces of Malta patrol boat at its base in Marsamxett Harbour, Valletta, Malta, on May 25, 2019. People demonstrate against a possible legislation reigning in the Supreme Court which could grant Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu immunity from prosecution if he faces corruption charges. In Tel Aviv, Israel, on May 25, 2019. A right-wing protest on the streets of Dortmund, Germany, on May 25, 2019. Relatives of prisoners killed during clashes at a jail in Nicaragua, Venezuela, wait outside a hospital on May 25, 2019. At least 29 prisoners were killed and 19 police personnel wounded in clashes on May 24 as special forces tried to stop a massive prison break. Iraq's President Barham Saleh meets with Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif in Baghdad, Iraq, on May 25, 2019. Sri Lankan army personnel carry out a special cordon and search operation 5 weeks after the Easter bomb attacks in Mutegoda, Sri Lanka, on May 25, 2019. Iraqi Kurdish Peshmerga officers take part in the graduation ceremony in the Kurdish town of Sorin, Iraq, on May 25, 2019. People take part in the March for Life, 4th annual anti-abortion march, in Zagreb, Croatia, on May 25, 2019. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa arrives for the swearing-in ceremony of Cyril Ramaphosa in Pretoria, South Africa, on May 25, 2019. People attend a protest against Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić and his government in Belgrade, Serbia, on May 25, 2019. Latvian Prime Minister Artūrs Krišjānis Kariņš cast his vote during the European Parliament election in Riga, Latvia, on May 25, 2019. A yellow vest protester walks past riot police officers in Paris, France, on May 25, 2019. Yellow vest protests are taking place for the 28th consecutive week to challenge President Emmanuel Macron's economic policies. Presidential candidate Alberto Fernandez of the Unidad Ciudadana Citizen Unity gestures to supporters during a rally in Merlo, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, on May 25, 2019. A man arrives to vote in the European Parliament election at a polling station in Rome, Italy, on May 26, 2019. Mountaineer Kamirita Sherpa, who broke his own world record for the most Everest summits, waves towards relatives and media after arriving at Tribhuvan International Airport in Kathmandu, Nepal, on May 25, 2019. The fund warned that the outlook for 2019 remained uncertain, adding that the program needed to be recalibrated as the situation unfolds. The large fiscal adjustment needed will be politically and socially difficult to implement in response to the materialization of two external shocks, the El Niño-related drought and the extensive damage inflicted by Cyclone Idai in March 2019, the IMF said. The government increased spending for the recovery and protection of the most vulnerable, but the funds available are significantly below estimated needs. With limited access to external financing and the very low level of international reserves, the authorities' room for maneuver is very narrow. There are also significant implementation risks of the monetary and exchange rate reforms, as well as addressing governance and corruption weaknesses, which could adversely impact the attainment of SMP objectives. The currency reforms introduced in February were an important step forward, it said. But there is substantial uncertainty as to how economic activity and prices will adjust to the new policy regime with a market-determined exchange rate, improved access to FX, and tight monetary and fiscal policy, said the IMF. Mining disruptions are ongoing, while for agriculture strong, but late, rains will at least partially offset the erratic weather effects of El Niño and input shortages, fuel and fertilizer. For the banking sector, the impact of currency liberalization and projected slowdown in economic activity could impair balance sheets. The reduction in support to state-owned enterprises and their privatization could also cause disruptions and lead to higher than expected price increases. Zimbabwe remains in debt distress, with external arrears of US $8 billion, which prevent new financing from the international financial institutions and limit access to external financing to non-traditional official and commercial creditors. Total consolidated public debt outstanding at N2017, net of RBZ loans, was 55% of gross domestic product, although the recent sharp increase in inflation together with a 1-to-1 conversion from US dollar to has inflated away a sizable portion of the real value of domestic public debt, which is projected to decline from about 25% of GDP at N2018 to an expected 11%. ATEND 2019